This is a special one today, Mr. Chatri. How do I say your last name?
Sityodtong.
That's gonna be tough. Sityodtong.
Yeah.
My Brazilian tongue doesn't curve in such a ways. Oh, look, this is amazing today. I'm gonna switch my monitors here. You can still see me well, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So look, for people that don't know you yet, I'm gonna just do a brief introduction. He's the founder and CEO of One Championship. I just saw some stats the other day. It's the biggest MMA event in the planet, basically. Not MMA event. It's like martial arts. The house of martial arts, like we like to say, right?
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Martial arts.
The home of martial arts. How are we doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I saw, I think it was you had done a week ago, DJ.
Yes.
And Renzo tagged me on it, and I just started watching it, and then you tagged me, and then so here we are.
There you go. And it was awesome. I said, I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm gonna invite the man, and that's making everything happening. So, look, we're waiting. That there's a surprise coming here, not for you, for the people, because you already know. I can hold surprises. So, but let's get started. Just tell us a little bit about you and how you started in martial arts. You were Renzo Gracie brown belt. And you have some Muay Thai background as well. How did that all started, and how one started?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Thailand, so I'm originally from Thailand, and I started Muay Thai at 13 years old in Thailand, and so I've been doing Muay Thai for 37 years, and I train every day. I've been a student, a competitor, a teacher, coach, and now CEO. And Muay Thai, martial arts has been my greatest passion in life. And I started jiu-jitsu at Renzo Gracie Academy in New York when I was living in New York. That was in early 2000s, around there.
Oh, wow.
And I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and I'm not very good at it, but every day I train 6 days a week. You'll see me on the mats. I absolutely love it. So that's my quick martial arts background. But growing up in Thailand, Muay Thai is like a religion, man. It's our national sport, and every little kid dreams of being a world champion. I was never that good enough to make it in terms of, I was never genetically blessed. To be at the elite level, you have to have a lot of things going right. Obviously, from everything from your work ethic to your cardio to your genetics and everything else, coaches. So I had the most incredible coaches. I had the most incredible master, Sityodtong, who produced the most number of world champions in Muay Thai history, even to this day. He is the equivalent of, let's say, a Helio Gracie or one of the founding fathers of the Gracie of jiu-jitsu, of Gracie jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And so it's kind of funny how life has come full circle in that, I represent still my master to this day, and he's essentially the founding father of Muay Thai at the highest levels in the world. And then on the other side, from my jiu-jitsu, I'm representing Renzo and his family. And so I feel like I got the best of the both worlds, genuinely being able to train with some of the greatest martial arts on the planet.
You definitely do. You definitely do. And I think it's very interesting. You said I wasn't gifted with the I had George St. Pierre here, and someone sent him a question like, hey, just hard work will get me there, and he was like, hey, people are not gonna like to hear that, but no. It's just not go and train every day. You have to have that something else. It's a professional athlete. It's at the highest level, right? It's like, unfortunately not everyone's gonna make it. It's life.
Yes. I mean, a lot of things have to go right for you to reach the very top of Muay Thai. Again, first baseline is genetics. Second is obviously, what gym you belong to, who your training partners are, who your coaches are. All these things take into play. And obviously, not having any injuries along the way, any serious injuries. There's so many factors at play. It really does take an entire village to create a world champion. At some point, I just knew. But again, I love Muay Thai, train every day, 6 days a week. I love Jiu-Jitsu, train 6 days a week. This is just, martial arts, my greatest passion in life. And it's always been part of my life. And I'm here in Thailand right now for work. The borders just opened up. I live in Singapore.
Uh-huh.
And so I came back to Thailand and, yesterday I was on the jiu-jitsu mats just training. So
Nice.
This is what I love. In between all my meetings at work, I'm always.
And it's amazing how you find time, right? Like this is the perfect like a jiu-jitsu poster boy. Say like if Mr. Chatri finds time, he'll have time.
That's true, though.
Right?
It's kind of crazy. It's my obsessions. I look at my fingers. It's not kashka fina anymore. It's kashka grossa. Because of the gi so much. If you don't know what that means, basically, if for jiu-jitsu guys, kashka fina means you have very thin skin and you get torn up with a grip. But after you do it for a while, you get kashka grossa, which means fat fingers. But basically, it means that
it's like thick skin kind of thing, right? Like yes. So how did and I did like a bunch of talking points, and I did not talk about Evolve. We can talk about that too.
Sure.
Because it just shows the other side of your passion, right? Like to create a team in a gym and everything. We'll get there. So how did one start? I think this is like one of the questions. Like it's not like I'm gonna compare with a different organization, the UFC, just because like this started with the Gracies, right? Like Horion Gracie as this hey, I'm beating up other martial arts for free, so I'm just gonna put this on a pay-per-view and sell it. That's how it started. How one started, and how do you get to the point where you say, you know what, I'm gonna create a fighting league kind of thing?
Well, I'm a lifelong martial artist, and if you look at the history of mixed martial arts, people mistakenly think that UFC was the first. Actually, Shuto in I think 1983 or 1986 started mixed martial arts fights in Japan, and in Asia,
I think that was Pancrase before that too, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. But Shuto is older than Pancrase.
Oh,
but my point is that Asia's been the home of martial arts for 5,000 years, right? Every single country has a martial art. Even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu emanated, from, or rather, was born through a Jiu-Jitsu master coming to, and a Judo master coming to Brazil from Japan. And so the way I was watching how martial arts was unfolding, the whole scene, I felt that it was really far removed from what I see every day.
Look who just joined us.
Oh man, I think this is so epic. There's going to be so much energy here. Renzo is literally my brother from another mother. But also, I'll tell you, without Renzo, champion would not have been born. So you just asked him right now, how was one born and all that. It's literally like Renzo will give you the shirt off of his back. For our very first event, he was there representing the jiu-jitsu side of me, even though I was only a blue belt. And my master, my Muay Thai master, represented the Muay Thai. And I had this one photo that's in my office of Renzo and my Muay Thai master, hugging and meeting. And that was one of the most epic memories for me.
Wow.
It's like, the two worlds, the two fighting worlds from opposite sides of the world, coming together. And they've, both had tremendous influences on me as a person and on me as a martial artist. And I love Renzo and I look up to him. He's just. I always tell him, and this is the truth. Renzo is such an extraordinary soul. He literally lights up the world. He travels all over the world, doing favors out of the goodness of his heart to everybody, every martial artist. And he's touched our lives. And the reason why ONE has become the largest martial arts organization in the world is really from Renzo's lighting the fire in me and telling me that I was, I can do it, and that I represent real martial arts the right way, with jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai as my foundation. And so Renzo, good to see you, buddy.
The reality was Chat is not saying he was just a blue belt. He was never a blue belt. This guy has a soul that was born a black belt, a red belt, actually, And I could see that from far. The first time I visit him and I see how he worked and how professional, how much he loved what he did. And by the way, I still have that picture here in my living room, me hugging the amazing soul. We're gonna miss him forever. And I'm certain we have life after that, because we're gonna get together again and break everything on the other side again. We can't help. You know how it is.
But you just asked me, how one started the whole thing, and I'll tell you, I just wanted to create a global organization that truly represented real martial artists. And again, when I look at how martial arts changed my life, when I look at how Renzo has changed so many lives, thousands, tens of thousands of people's lives. When I look at my Muay Thai master, Sityodtong and how many lives he changed, the power of martial arts. Renzo has one of his greatest quotes is like, fighting is the best thing a man can have in his soul.
Yes.
And another quote he always says is, there is more philosophy on the mats, of a jiu-jitsu academy than there is in any Ivy League school. And I went to Harvard, and I will tell you, Renzo's damn right. It's like, what the mats teach you every day, the humility, the integrity, the honor, the respect, the courage, the warrior spirit to fight, all those incredible things, overcoming adversity. Martial arts has this beautiful ability to transform the weak into the strong, the fearful into the brave, and the ordinary into the extraordinary. And that's Renzo's life. That's Renzo's life. That's my Muay Thai master Sityodtong Sananan's life. And that's what I wanted to have expressed in one. And I think that's why one today is 2 to 3 times bigger than UFC in terms of online video views or TV viewership. You saw the Nielsen industry report, right? It came out 2 weeks ago. All the top global sports properties in the world, and this is the second year in a row that we're bigger than the UFC according to Nielsen.
Yeah, and I posted that too because I think people need to know. And Renzo, I was welcome, Master. Thank you so much.
It's good to be here, Rafael.
So I was just telling Chatri before a little bit before, saying every opportunity I have, and I know Adriano, I know Bibiano, I know this guy to say, guys, anytime you guys are fighting or anytime you guys want to promote anything, just come to us and let's talk about it. More people in Brazil needs to know about one, and just get that. Nothing wrong with the UFC. It's awesome, but there's more to it. And like we just saw that 1X the event. You have like grappling and Muay Thai and kickboxing and MMA in one event. And then if that's not good enough, you have a mix of Demetrius Johnson, Rodtang fighting. It's special rules. Like, who doesn't want to see that? I said that was one of the craziest fights I ever seen in my life. I told that to Demetrius Johnson, and he was laughing. I was like, this is amazing. Why nobody did that before?
This is how much of a beautiful soul is. Renzo flew literally all the way to Singapore just to watch 1X with me, for 2 days, and he flew right back. And he's flying always around the world. So the sacrifice he makes, I know how much he loves his grandson. I know how much, he loves his family, and, he's wanted by everybody, obviously. Renzo, everyone's asking for favors of Renzo's time.
Oh, shit.
And again, like for him to fly halfway across the
for
world.
you, my brother, for you, I'm always ready to come in with a flying kick. You know that.
Crazy,
you know that.
we were talking about Renzo's quotes. I was gonna say that's one about a flying kick too.
Yes.
So that's also a different podcast.
That's also one of Renzo's favorite quotes too. Yes, definitely.
So, my brother, what he never tells people is that I was on the first one event, and it was done in a basketball court, maybe with 100 people attending to. That's how it began. And it was amazing how I saw Chatri grow in that little high school competition to what it is today. It's unbelievable. And I have to be honest, I was in Pride. One doesn't stay 1 centimeter behind Pride today.
Wow.
And Pride was the best event I've ever seen in my life. This last event that I was there, I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. The event lasted almost 11 hours, right, Chatri?
Yeah, it was like 11 hours of martial arts at the highest levels in the world, in jiu-jitsu, in Muay Thai, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, and obviously a special rules fight. It was epic. Yeah.
In a sold-out arena, I couldn't
That's
believe.
beautiful.
I couldn't believe. It was unforgettable. You know, Chatri gave me an experience that I cannot even tell. You know,
Amazing.
and I always tell people that I'm very happy Chatri lives in the other side of the globe. Otherwise, the globe, if we live on the same side, the globe will get out of balance. We'll get out of his axe. You know,
we have too much
maybe
energy.
the days will get shorter or longer. Who knows? You know, but
it's amazing. It's amazing. He was just telling us how one started and everything, and that's just when you joined us. You know,
and what he doesn't tell, he talks about the picture that we have, the old picture of me hugging his master, and there's nobody else in there. But there is another picture that is completely unforgettable too. It's his first office. His first office where one began. The geese on the floor, the gloves on the floor, the little desk, a mess, you know, like
I would love if you guys send me that so I can put it on the screen so people can see it. That would be amazing.
I definitely will. Actually, I have it on my social media, I believe. It's actually on my Instagram, I think.
Okay, I'll get it from there.
Just swipe that photo, yeah. So that was like next to an auto mechanic, and it was a tiny little office, and yeah, humble beginnings always, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's not only about humble beginnings; it's about never forgetting where you come from. You know, this is the deal in the world. A lot of people have a tendency to forget and start acting like they're superstar. We never change, Chatri, never, and we will never change. You know, and when we get in heaven, if some Peter tries to start asking questions for us to get in, he's gonna get his ass kicked, you know, and we're gonna break everything once to get in.
He did enough for sure.
Trumpets, I want a band, I want the whole noise announced. I want all the Victoria's Secret angels with wings and clapping all wind, you know.
Oh shit, that's amazing. Look,
I miss you, Chatri, my brother.
Hey Renzo, when is your book getting translated in English? Because I'm gonna blow it up all over the world. When you get it in English, I promise you'll be signing the books for the rest of your life. All over the world.
Wait, brother. We sold the first edition in 3 weeks. Was done.
I know. Brazil.
And it was the funniest thing ever. I went to Rio to sign the book, and the woman only had 300 books. The bookstore. So we say, "Oh, can you order more?" And she goes, "You're crazy." Paulo Coelho came here. Paulo Coelho was here signing books, and he only signed 130 books. I say, believe me, order 200 more. If you don't sell it, I will buy them. She started laughing and walk away. That day, we sold the 300 books. I was there for 7 hours signing books. We sold the 300 books, and then we had 250 people that came to buy the book, and they couldn't. So I saved one so we could take a picture. So I was there taking a picture with everybody. The bookstore was supposed to close at 10. We closed at 11:30 that day. Wow. She couldn't believe. And the best amazing. Is like when they ask her to buy more books, she goes, "Who is he?" Or better, who he think he is?
Knows. Wow.
Unbelievable, yeah.
That kind of sounds like your teacher from high school or something, right? Like, hey.
Yes. People are used to the ordinary. They're not used to people like us, like Chatri and me, and we break the rules. We do things that goes beyond people's understanding. Yeah. You know, it gets to a point that my mother will question. My mother goes, I say, "Mom, watch, please." You know?
People are not used to greatness. And we have to be real here. It's not. It kind of sounds weird when
it's not greatness. It's actually people are not used to dreamers. We dream.
Yeah, but you dream and you make it. That's greatness.
By dreaming is the beginning of you making great things. You know, people stop dreaming. They just go by logic and by whatever they learn in school. When it's not our case,
and it's so true. You know, it's like the world or society beats you down to the point where you only exist. And Renzo is somebody's whole life, every single day he lives, truly lives, you know, with passion, with purpose, with intensity. It doesn't matter what it is he's doing, he's all in, you know. It's something I learned from him. Again, like I said, when you look at the martial arts community all over the world, not just jiu-jitsu, but MMA and even the Muay Thai community, we look up to Renzo because You know, he's the candle that has lit all of us around the world. You know, whether he goes to Israel, he goes to the States, he goes to Brazil, he goes to Asia. Like Renzo has all his students like me who have, you know, started our own fires because he gave us the fire and we started a bonfire. And now there's bonfires all over the world. It's crazy. Like wherever Renzo goes, doesn't matter, Europe, Middle East, America, you know, Latin America or Asia, he has his students, an army, you know, who are carrying the flag.
And it's crazy because I like to say this to everyone I met, and we end up talking about jiu-jitsu, and then I talk about Renzo because I'm in New York. I was there right after the academy was back open and John Danaher was no longer there. So Renzo was teaching that class, and I think it was a class, he was teaching a second class around like 11 o'clock, noontime or something like that, right, Master?
Yes.
And I was there for one of those classes, and just him being at the academy was enough, right? Like you are at Renzo Gracie Academy doing a jiu-jitsu class and Renzo Gracie is on the mat. That's freaking amazing, right? But just that's not enough for him. So there was like probably like 50 people rolling. And he went to every single pair of people and made a comment, whatever the comment was. I was like, hey, doing good. Hey, nice. And I was just sitting outside and watching. And I was like, this is truly amazing because he's not like forcing himself to do that. So he's like, oh, I have to go and tap on everyone's shoulder. He's enjoying it. And that's Renzo Gracie 6 months ago. He's not starting his first jiu-jitsu academy. He's probably like one of the most accomplished martial artists in the planet. And he's there tapping everyone in the shoulder saying, oh, you're doing great. And I'm thinking, how good is that? Like you are at Renzo Gracie Academy with Renzo Gracie teaching class and coming to you, tapping on your shoulder, say, hey, brother, that's it. Check it, like he changed
the secret is simple.
That day without knowing.
When you do what you love, that's not work.
That's
exactly. Every time I'm in there, I don't want to leave. I'm not thinking about what time I have to leave. I wish I could stay. The last time I was there, I left the academy, was midnight. I was supposed to teach until 8 o'clock. And then I ended up staying, showing them new moves, new concepts, new ideas that I have, you know.
And I remember that I was gonna do the class.
Every time Renzo comes to Singapore, it's like we have an impromptu jiu-jitsu lesson, and like he'll blow my mind. He blew all of us, so it was crazy. This last time in Singapore, we had a 2-hour session.
The last one was the best. The last one was the best.
Yeah, we had a 2-hour session. We had, I mean, the likes of Tom DeBlas, Leo Vera, all the black belts. I mean, you know, I was the only non-black belt, I was a brown belt, or I am a brown belt. And Renzo, we're breaking on the half guard. Renzo, guys, he says, guys, please, let me just show you.
Chatri,
and he blew our mind.
That I need, when we start talking about the half guard, I say, let me take a little nap because I was dead. So I laid down on the mat and slept for half an hour. They were training. They were exchanging knowledge. After I rested for half an hour, I jumped right in.
Oh,
and he literally, he blew our mind. So here we are, like doing traditional half guard framing, you know, and we're talking about sweeps, we're talking about all this stuff. And Renzo's, guys, please, let me just show you something that I discovered. And he has this position, he's sitting, and he goes, and this is very true. He said, Chatri, the danger of martial arts is that when you're practicing, there's a hidden agreement, right? If I'm on top and you're on bottom, okay, I'm going to pass you and you're going to frame. So there's all these kind of preset moves, especially the higher you go up. That's why rolling with a white belt's always scary, because they can injure you because they're going crazy, right? They don't know what their own strength is. But the higher you go up, it becomes almost like a game. So Renzo's like, you have to get that out of your mind and break the rules. So he's sitting in half guard and he wasn't trying to pass. So he clamps you down. So he has this really cool move. He sits on your leg and he clamps you down, and then he steps up and locks your hips up, and then you're finished. Like you're stuck. You can't move. And it's like, it's so simple, but no one thought about it, because you're taught in half guard top, you're going to pass guard, either a smash pass or whatever you want to do, right? But you're not taught to just sit there and dismantle and then lock the hips up. It was crazy stuff.
And how easy it is to apply chokes and pass the and go for the mount.
Finishing.
Everything. Yes.
Footlock.
Yeah, and I remember it's the same with that little hook you do with your feet that you were teaching. I was watching that everybody pulls back, and you're like, no, 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 no. You drop it forward. Yeah,
that move was amazing because before my fight, I told my brothers that I was going to use it. They say, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to take his single leg, go to his back, do this hook, get his back, and finish. And then my brother goes, are you a psychic now? You can see the future. I say, watch. And when we finished, the doctor, Zé Alfredo, that was there with us, he goes, it was exactly like you say you're going to do it. Everything by the book.
And I think going to that fight, this was born, right?
Yes.
I have that video too.
And I tell you, the origin of that fight, by the way, I was trying to get Sakuraba and Renzo together as a legendary farewell, right? They're both two incredible legends. And Renzo, it took me like 2 years. Every day, Renzo was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Tell Sakuraba I'm ready to go. And Sakuraba was drag his feet. And we're like, you know what? I would love to have Sakuraba, but I'm just going to get.
We had Walid too. Had Walid. He ran away like a chicken.
Walid also. Walid, it told me yes, and then he backed out. Once I said, "Hey, Renzo's serious about it," and then yeah. So then we end up with Yuki Kondo, who's obviously a very dangerous man in pride.
And you have to understand one thing, Chat. That was a dream of mine that you realized, that you made it true, because. During Pride time, I asked to fight him many times. They never put me to fight him. They never allowed me to fight him. He was a guy that I admired. His fights were always. He beat Sperry. He beat Saulo. He fought Roger Gracie at his prime when Roger was a kid and he was older. So he was a fighter. He was the king of pancrase. I really admire him. He fought Vanderlei. He had only battles, over 105 fights, you know. So when you brought him, I couldn't thank you enough. I couldn't believe there was a dream come true, you know. And I had the unique opportunity to test myself against such a valuable enemy, such a valuable opponent. I will never forget. I have that printed in my soul for the rest of my life.
We were in Manila, packed stadium. I'm telling you. Filipinos, they really love combat sports and they know jiu-jitsu and they know MMA very, very well. So Renzo comes out saying that it was boom, eruption, and then it was like the perfect fight. It's like at first round, he was like very tentative, like, wow, that's it. But at the same time, Renzo was half asleep. I mean, he was sleeping in the backstage. Everyone was worried. We're like, hey, Renzo, there's a fight. You're fighting. He's sleeping as if he's walking in the park. We all I was like, oh my God, Renzo's gonna die in the cage. He hasn't fought in a while. He's sleeping. So even Luca Atala, I remember there. He's like, Chatri, man, I don't know how Renzo's gonna do it, man. He's asleep. The fight is happening in 5 minutes. He's still asleep. It was crazy. We were all like, "Oh my goodness!"
When I finally in life have a chance to take a nap, this guy's waking me up. I can't believe.
Crazy. The most relaxed guy backstage.
It's so stressful. Like when he was on that whole Valid thing, right? Like, and everything's like it's about to happen. Valid screaming on Instagram in Brazil, "Come anytime." And and Valid is posting every day his training and his running, doing steps and cardio and shit. And Renzo is just Renzo, right? He's going out for meetings and I'm talking. I was like, holy shit, how the fuck is this gonna go? And he's like, I'm ready. Don't worry, I'm ready. I was like, I know you're ready, but you gotta put in a little. No, but hey, I'm ready. Trust me. It's like, all right, I trust you. And he flew there.
Walid never realized all the workout that he was doing was to grow his butt. That's the only thing that. The guy's doing steps. I was going to the gym and beating people up for an hour. That's it. But I have to be honest. What amazing. Chatri, I thank you always for amazing moments.
And it was crazy. And you know what else? Why you gave all of us an incredible memory, but also inspiration. After he won, okay, I don't remember who put him on the show. Maybe it was Gorginho put him on the shoulders, or maybe it was Hodger. I can't remember. But he was on somebody's shoulders. And they gave him the mic. And Renzo's like, to the whole, addressing the whole stadium, actually, the whole broadcast. He's like, you are only as young as you think you are, blah, blah. And he just went off like and inspiring everybody like, guys, life is not about a number of your age. It's not, it's just how you live your life that is tells you whether you're alive or not. And just like he gave the most impromptu speech. It was like the perfect moment, man. It was like we were all there live. We're watching like, holy shit, like what happened,
You see, Chatri, when I grew up, I'm 55 now. When I grew up, at 30, they consider you an old man back then when I was a kid.
In Brazil,
and I remember,
for sure, right?
Remember that? Yeah.
Well, we go by soccer age, right? Like 30, 32, 33, the guys are too old to do sports.
To be on the field. So I grew up and I said, I'm going to change this. I say, a man got to be, he has to have the age that he believes he has. And I still remember when I was a kid, a teenager, I kick a ball up in the air and I don't remember hearing that ball bounce back. And I'm sure that until I rest my head in my resting place, I will be a young guy. I'll be a young kid. I'll be the kid that I was when I was 15, 16. And let me tell you one thing. I hope there's life after that. And people always expect to go to paradise, to go to a place where they're gonna rest and see nature and relax for the rest of the eternity. I don't. I hope they have a shield and a sword waiting for me on the other side. And if that is a hell, tell the devil to be careful because we're coming after him. That's how it works.
That's what he's taking to paradise. Watch.
Yes. And a pair of good one gloves. Yes. I tell you, brother.
Look, let's talk about the Amazon Prime deal that was announced yesterday. I was like, oh my God, we are so lucky to have scheduled this today, right? Like, so it's super fresh. Tell us a little bit about it because I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, so this marks the real official entry into America for one with Amazon. It's a 5-year deal. Amazon Prime has 200 million subscribers. It is one of the largest broadcasters. I don't think people understand that NFL on Amazon Prime does bigger numbers than NFL on Fox Sports.
Oh, wow.
And when we were on our road show talking to all the major broadcasters, we did get an offer from a few different broadcasters. And we ended with Amazon in the end because Amazon is the future of broadcasting. If you just look at what they've done with NFL, and they really want to get into combat sports, and they love the one product. And we're doing 12 live U.S. primetime events a year, a minimum is what they want.
So when you say prime time, it's our prime time here, like
10 p.m.
Wow.
in America on Friday.
That is amazing.
So it's like you have no excuse if you're American and you love MMA and you love martial arts, you love jiu-jitsu, you love Muay Thai or kickboxing, whatever. We have the very best in the world in every single discipline, world championship fights, and people are going to be. I think Americans are going to be their minds blown. But we could not ask for a bigger, more powerful partner than Amazon, who's truly, really going to invest behind one in a partnership. And so, again, a 5-year deal, minimum of 12 live primetime events a year. So I'm just so excited. This is why I've been working so hard. Now I can say one is truly, truly global. Obviously, I want to do a massive Brazil deal as well, and we're always in discussions on that. But obviously, America is the largest sports market in the world, and I believe. Well, if you look at that Nielsen report, the stuff that you put on your Instagram, like it's like the two biggest organizations by far is UFC and ONE. If in terms of viewership numbers, right? UFC is king of the West. We're king of the East. We are bigger than UFC, 2 to 4 times bigger, depending, in terms of video views or TV viewership. So I think Americans are in for a big, big treat.
That's gonna be.
And let me tell you one thing. That deal that you just did is the reason why I took a phone call yesterday, and I'm gonna help them in a new project too.
Oh,
just
cool.
Because they signed with you.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you,
I spoke to the general manager yesterday. I spoke to him on the phone yesterday.
Nice.
He's in Hawaii right now.
Is it going to be the Renzo Gracie documentary that we've always wanted?
That's easy. That's easy.
I'm telling you, I want to do it personally. I want to do the movie on Renzo's life. Like, people need to hear how crazy, how insane, how impossible, how he broke all the odds. It's just, it's crazy, man. I want to do it, Enzo. I mean, you and I have been talking for years.
The deal is only if I do one about you. So then it's a deal. We have a deal. Well, Chatri, I spoke to the guy, to the head of Amazon yesterday, and we're going to bring grappling to them too, you know? So they're going to invest a lot in fighting.
Yes. Of course. I mean,
we're going to have everything.
That is...
And next, I want Muay Thai there too. I want to,
yes,
you know.
We're doing it all. No, we're going to do it all, Renzo. Like, you know, we signed obviously we have Gordon Ryan, Andre Galvao, Buchecha. We have, the Ruotolo brothers. We have Daniel Kelly, who's also under Professor Carroll, Renzo Gracie black belt, right?
We have Musumeci, you just assigned, right?
Yeah.
You just got Musumeci too.
Yes, Mikey. So here's crazy. Renzo, I didn't even get to tell you this. So Mikey Musumeci, who we saw, remember when he beat Imanari, right? When we were there. What was crazy was that fight did 7 million video views, which is the most in the history of jiu-jitsu. Okay, so a Gordon Ryan fight does 1 million. When Hodger and Buchecha fought the second time, the rematch, that fight did 1.7 million views. Mikey fighting Imanari did 7 million. So I mean, I'm telling you, obviously one's platform is much bigger, but the point is that I really believe this is going to be the moment that we blow up jiu-jitsu and make it mainstream. And
brother, you bringing martial arts where it should be. That's the beauty. You're not making drama. You're not using lies to sell. You're not creating fake news to sell what we have. You know, the beauty of what we have. We just begin a program teaching the police here in New York. You know, now in the state of New Jersey, they just passed a law. Any police officer who sign up in a jiu-jitsu academy will have their training paid by the government, by the state.
Wow.
So this is changing the world. Yeah. Abu Dhabi now it's mandatory in school from kindergarten to college. If it wasn't the pandemic, right now they have 12.5% of their whole population training jiu-jitsu. If it wasn't for the pandemic, they'll be up to 25% right now. Last time I was there with the Brazilian president, with Bolsonaro, during the Dubai Expo, I was able to teach a class, help teach a class for 4,000 kids, just the kids alone. It was insane, you know. It should have been in the record book, in the Guinness book, but someone had a technical mistake of releasing those news before it should have been done. And I think it's just postponed for a few months. Down the road, we're gonna do it again.
Oh wow, that's amazing! And you were just talking about how it carries that true martial arts spirit. I had it on the side here because I want to mention about. I wrote a little note so I don't forget that I saw something that Joe Rogan said on his podcast that he was praising one, saying that he loves how they focus on the martial arts part of the business and not on the trash talking. And someone asked Chatri about it, and his answer was, quote, say, at one championship, we build heroes, we don't sell fights. And I was reading that last night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had freaking chills. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to talk to that guy tomorrow. That's awesome.
This is the purest truth. That's what Chatri has been doing. That's what one does. That's why one is so successful. And, you know, and the competition will never understand that. You know, they don't come from fighting. You know, they don't. It's like you want to see one big mistake that Dana White always does. When I fought, my last fight there was in 2010. So exactly 12 years ago, yeah? 12 years ago. 12. So I was actually 42, 43 years old. When the fight was over, I fought Matt Hughes, who was on his prime. One of the most amazing champions UFC has ever produced. And I lost to him. I was 3 years. That was after my brother's death. I was 3 years without touching in a mat, without going to a gym. And I was sitting down with Sheikh Tahnoun and Dana and the Fertitas. And they say, Renzo, we're going to do an event here. I say, when? 6 months from now in Abu Dhabi. Would you like to fight? I say, sign me in. So I was 40 pounds overweight. I had to lose all the weight and get in shape in 6 months. And that's what I did. but unfortunately, I couldn't reach the level that I wanted, physically. So I ended up getting knocked out 15 seconds after on the last round, 15 seconds from the finishing the last round. The first thing he says when he goes out is that I was old. Let's be honest. Let's be very honest. 10 years later, I fight for Chatri at ONE FC. I didn't look like an old guy, 10 years later. But the best part, what Dana White never told people, that I remember I was in the locker room changing my clothes. He walked right in, and I saw him taking a double look. He realized that I don't have wrinkles, not even on my nutsack. So to call me old is the stupidest thing ever. But that's okay. I don't care. Then Anderson Silva does his last fight there. What does he do?
Says the same thing.
Worse. He completely destroyed him. Anderson had to leave the UFC, and he tried to get fights. He tried to make his living. He's moving to America. He tried to get a bare knuckle fight. He tries to do the fights that he's a specialist on, which is like just a Muay Thai fight, a boxing match. What was getting very popular here in America, those against YouTubers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to take him because of the comments of Dana White. So you have to understand, because unfortunately, Dana never came from a martial arts background. He was actually a personal trainer. There was a very funny situation that I'm in the locker room with Khabib, with Usman, Ali, and Dana White comes in. Khabib looks at me and goes, "Renzo, have you ever met Dana White? I'd like to introduce you, Dana White." And I go, "My brother, I met him when he had hair, and he would come into the locker room to take a picture with me."
Oh shit! Yeah.
So yeah, it's brother. This is life. Do I brag about this? No, but sometimes you gotta bring it back to bring them back to where they are,
just
so they don't forget where they came from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think
it's important, because if you lead in such an organization, you have to never forget where you came from.
That's true.
And I think Renzo brings up a very interesting point, a very powerful point, that why has ONE in 10 years grown faster and bigger than UFC has been around 30 years, right? In terms of viewership numbers again. I'm from the martial arts community. So, it's I've been a martial artist longer than I've been a businessman. Okay. I've been 37 years of doing martial arts, Muay Thai, and then jiu-jitsu, call it 10, 12 years. And I've been doing that longer, and I've been a businessman maybe 20 years, 25 years. So the point just being, though, is, I'm from the community. I'm ONE is been created by martial artists, led by martial arts, for martial artists, right? And this is a very powerful point, because I have a lot of empathy and a lot of love for all my athletes. And that's why literally 95% of the athletes and we either we go train together. I was just training with Buchecha, his last fight together. I mean, he was teaching me a lot of stuff, but Leo and Buchecha. But I'm always, I'm part of the community. It's whether it's a
they are amazing souls, those two kids.
Yeah,
both of them.
Yes,
amazing, amazing. Yeah, I love them.
But the point is, and I think that makes a big difference because of how athletes feel in our organization versus other organizations. Is that they can feel the authenticity, they can feel the love that we have for martial arts, and I think that it helps for better performances. But it's just a sense of belonging. Like I said, we are the home of martial arts. That's ONE, and I truly, when I give those speeches before the events, before the fights to our athletes, it's never threats. It's never about just the money or whatever. It's about going out there and unleashing your greatness and remembering that you are martial artists, and remembering the journey of heartbreak and triumph and overcoming odds, and remember the sacrifices, missing the birthday parties and everything that goes on with being a world champion martial artist. And it's something, because I deeply empathize and I understand deeply, because I've walked their road, maybe not as a world champion. I've walked their road as a lifelong martial artist. So I truly understand our athletes at a very deep level. And I'm always trying my best to elevate them and inspire them to greatness which is why I never say anything negative, publicly ever. In every press conference, I've never said a single negative thing about our athletes ever, whether it's a poor performance or good performance. It's I know how hard the road they've taken. Fighters have truly, for me, okay, to be
Chatri does differently. If he sees you have problems, after he gets you on the side alone with you, and he tells you what you should work to get better. That's the difference. I've seen Chatri doing this many times, so it's always pushing you forward.
Yeah, and I created, and I love that because we evolve around the UFC schedule, right? Because we're in America, so every time one throws an event, we talk about it and stuff like that. But UFC is there every week, and you see things, and you don't agree with it, like Verdun. Like we have one of our greatest heavyweights we have in Brazil. It's Fabricio Verdun.
I was with him this week. This week I was with him.
I know. Yes.
I went to see him working out.
So
it was
jealous.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
And this guy, it's going to his fight. The last fight of his contract in the UFC, and Dana White's talking shit about him. Saying, he's old, and we'll see what's next. He needs to win this fight. And I was like, why would you even put that extra pressure on a guy 2 days before his fight? Right? Because then it makes news everywhere. It's like, oh, Verdun needs a win, so he stays in the UFC. What happened? He won on the first round, I think. Like he submitted Gustafsson, and he said no to them. He said, "No, I'm all set. I'm leaving."
Do you know that when he walked out of the ring, they had that new contract for him?
Yes,
and he didn't sign.
Yes, and he said no, and I applaud him for that because
he's running an amazing meat restaurant and meat boutique in Brazil.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to go there. It's unbelievable. He's now having trouble to supply the meat. That's how much he's selling.
It's crazy.
You have to understand, you have a good fighting spirit on you. You won't fail in any field you decide to go.
Yeah.
It's insane. I walk into a restaurant immediately as I'm eating and talking and laughing. I can see every mistake they have. I can see every problem they have because I imagine that it's me working there and how could I make it better? It's insane. And this is Verdun showing that it's true. If you have a good fighting spirit, you can fail in life,
And every time I talk about one, because I had many of the guys here on the show, right? After Adriano beat Demetrius Johnson, we were watching that live. So we were doing a live fight companion kind of thing, not broadcasting the fight, of course, but we were watching and talking what was going on. And Adriano won, and 30 minutes later or 40 minutes later, he was in the live with us with the belt, and we were all celebrating. And there was probably 5,000 people watching live with us on YouTube. And Adriano brings the belt, and everybody's like, "Yeah, you're a fucking hero." And I was like, that always should be the spirit, right? Like the guy being celebrated and cheered on, and then we talk about one that people don't realize that it's like how great. And then I'm talking about the show aspect of it, right? Like the promotion, the lights, the music, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Bibiana goes so look, you have no freaking idea. We're riding limos and ride red carpets, and there's 1,000 people waiting for us to get out of the car, and I say it's crazy. It's nothing. Like people don't see that.
It's pride. It's pride. It's a better version of pride.
Yes, it's a modern version of pride. Yes.
Yes. Improve it. And and shining. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Amazing experience.
And then they go and they were like, so, but it's not at the same level as the UFC, right? Because the UFC has the highest level. I was like, so let's look at that. And then you have Eddie, and I'm not shitting on any guy, okay? I'm just trying to put things in perspective here. So you have Eddie Alvarez, former UFC champ, goes to one, and he gets the shit beat out of him. by a one like athlete, right? And then you have Demetrius Johnson that goes there and Adriano knocks him out. And then you have the list goes on and on. The list goes on and on, and it's like you have the crazy Rumble kid, Sage Northcutt. I had him on the show too. Nicest kid in the planet, but beating guys in the UFC. He goes to one, and he has to take like a 2-year layoff now because of how bad he was beating. So the level, it's amazing. It's a crazy high level. We just don't see it.
No, what I'll tell you this, okay? Again, it's because I'm a lifelong martial artist. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. 37 years of Muay Thai and again, call it 11 years of Jiu-Jitsu, 10, 12 years of Jiu-Jitsu. We genuinely have the very best martial arts on the planet. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so
the most complete fighter. Definitely. Yes.
And when Eddie Alvarez got knocked out, or DJ got knocked out, or Sage got knocked out, all the other UFC fighters came over and they all got knocked out. That wasn't necessarily the plan. It's just that in one, you have monsters and killers who just, it's, you know, and so I want to do a one versus UFC event. That would be my dream. Genuinely, champion versus champion. Let's do it, you know? And I think, to be honest, I think UFC would win some, and I think we would win some. And there would be a toss-up of which organization ends up on top. I do think UFC will probably take the heavier divisions initially, and we will take the lighter divisions. But I think, I mean, you can just look at
tournament.
Yeah, I would love it, man. I would love it. You know, that's actually the number one question that fans always ask me out here in Asia is, would you ever do a one versus UFC event? And I said, I would do it in a heartbeat. The two global giants, the two, biggest combat sports organizations in the world, going head to head.
Remember, they did one with Pride. They did one with Pride.
Yes.
With they had two fighters that they brought.
I think they had Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And Rampage. I think Rampage.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Beautiful. I love those two guys too. Yeah.
Look, they always talk. They always talk about this cross promotion with Bellator, and for the and I see why for the UFC it's not interesting because they're so much bigger than Bellator. Basically, they will be promoting Bellator, right? So they wouldn't do that. But with one, it's a total different talk. Was there ever any talk about something like that with the UFC or?
No, publicly, I've stated, again, like media interviews, reporters will ask me, fans will ask me at a press conference, and I've always said, like, yeah, definitely, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I said, Dana, just call me and we'll do it, like 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts. I believe in our athletes so much. And again, I'm talking from an expert lens. I'm not talking from a businessman or, hey, maybe our athletes are better. Like, I have been doing martial arts my entire life. Every little detail, every little nuance. I know everything about martial arts. I know everything about fighting. It's just I've dedicated my life to this, So I can tell you, I'm very confident we have the greatest roster on the planet. Yeah. It may not be known in America yet, but with Amazon Prime, everyone will know the one champion athletes. But obviously out here in Asia, everyone knows them. It's like I said, they're monsters and killers. And again, if you look at our grappling roster, who's on our grappling roster? Just looking at grappling alone, okay?
No, it's crazy.
Ryan,
it's crazy.
Gary Tonin, Buchecha, Andre Galvao, Ruo Todo brothers. Danielle Kelly. We have Mikey Musumeci. We have actually a few others I haven't even announced yet. Tynan actually signed with one. I haven't.
And you have some guys that are not even on the grappling side. They're already fighting martial arts. You have Bibiano, who has like a grappling record. You have Michelle Nicolini, which is she's a BJJ Hall of Fame, and they're fighting MMA. So in Buchecha, of course, it's like.
Right. It's ready to go. Here's another very interesting stat about one versus the other, organizations. Out of our 600 athletes, 170 of our athletes won world titles before joining one at the highest levels in the world.
Wow.
So whether it's IBJJF, whether it's ADCC, whether it's Muay Thai, Lumpini World Championships, whether it's Rotterdam, whether it doesn't matter what the sport was, or even DJ, right? He was 11-time UFC World Champion. 170 athletes were world champions at the highest levels of the world before they signed with one. No other organization has this. None. I mean, you have a guy in the typical profile in UFC when they sign is, hey, he was a high school wrestler and he has 10 fights. And you know, and that's why the technique is not as pure. You look at it, you know, technique for technique. You look at, again, I would say 95% of the roster of UFC, and you look technique for technique for our 95%. You'll see far cleaner, higher level technique, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's striking, whether it's wrestling. You just see it's a pure. Whereas there, it's more of a, how can I say, a generalist. You're good at wrestling. Your striking is blue belt, and your jiu-jitsu is blue belt, but you're signed to the UFC. It's a very different.
Yeah.
But our guys are literally like, Buchecha called me. He said, Chatri, I'm ready to do MMA. I have an offer from UFC. I don't want to join them. I want to join you. This is literally the conversation. He called me. And I said, sure, let's do it. And then, you know, I think someone like him understands the value we bring in terms of a true martial arts organization. Again, created by a martial arts, led by martial arts, for martial artists. It's a very different ethos. And I think American fans are there in for a big, big treat.
Yes, oh, for sure. For sure. I was going to talk about what are the plans for Brazil? Do you have anything for us in there?
No, I definitely do. You know, before the pandemic, we were trying to get something going on. I mean, obviously, UFC's with Globo. We did have many discussions with Globo. I know we are broadcast on a smaller free-to-air channel in Brazil right now. We just need to make the effort and go there and make it happen. I mean, I think again, right now in Brazil, it's Reddit TV, right? That's airing.
Yes, Rede TV.
Right,
yes,
right. That's airing one. But again, we have not made a serious push. I would love to do an event in Rio or Sao Paulo, or you know, even Manaus. You know, we have Bibiano, who's obviously a hero in Manaus. I just think Brazil is incredible. Obviously, the history of Brazil in terms of its impact on combat sports. You know, Gracie family. I would love to go to Brazil. This is what would be a huge dream of mine. Again, we just have so many things. You know, we're in 154 countries right now. It's just right now I'm in Thailand for work, and it's just one thing after another. I get pulled in a million directions. But yeah, I will definitely make it my priority because there are so many fans, MMA fans, you know, in general, and martial artists in Brazil. You know, it's crazy, but Brazil and Thailand are literally like brothers and sisters from another mother, because I believe when
the earth divide, the lands divide, those two are attached.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Why do I say that? They are warm. Both cultures are very warm, and they're hugging each other and like very friendly and emotional. They're both fighting countries that they have the martial arts. Like they are real lutadores. You know, they're really their coração is grande. You know, they're fighters. You know, this is kind of
when I met your crew.
Yes,
Papa, everybody. It was like I was home. The first day, it was like I was home. You know,
well, that's why it's crazy. And Evolve, you know, the instructors who have Brazilians from Brazil and Thais from Thailand, they're like best friends because they just, even they don't speak the language, they just get each other, you know?
They don't need to understand each other. They go along.
Yes.
Look,
so it's crazy.
I'm sure your guys are really nice. But it's Renzo too, right? Like it's impossible not to get along with Renzo.
Brother,
he walks in and everybody's laughing.
Even the other instructors, I see the Brazilians that came, they couldn't speak not even the same language. They were like, and they were together immediately, and they live together. They walk home together. It's different.
That's amazing.
They'll be mimicking to each other. Go.
That's awesome.
The same souls, man. The same souls. Amazing.
So look, we were talking. You were talking about the 7 million views that the Mickey Musumeci got on his fight. Do you have any numbers on that Demetrius Johnson and Rod Tang fight? And then I want you to talk a little bit about the back room on that negotiation with the UFC. There was like a public trade, right? Like you send them over Ben Askren and you got Demetrius Johnson. I bet they regret that now, but let's talk about some of the numbers.
Well, I mean, Ben Askren was retired for 2 years, okay? And Demetrius Johnson, I think his contract was over years. He wanted to move to one. And I think it was Hunter Campbell and Matt Hume spoke. and Hunter had the idea of, okay, why don't you give us Ben Askren because he's retired, and we'll give you DJ. And so it was done at that level. So Matt Human and Hunter closed the deal. You know, it was never at the level of it just didn't go up beyond that level, right?
Okay.
Of course, I got updates. I mean, we were very interested in DJ, I really believe DJ is the GOAT. If you look at him technically, forget about his accomplishments for a second. Yes, he's the most winningest UFC world champion ever. But if you look at him technically, you look at his jiu-jitsu, you look at his wrestling, you look at his striking, you look at the transitions, you look at his cage work. Man, the guy has it all. And look at his balance. Look at how fluid he is between everything. He's next level. You know, he is the GOAT. He is for his achievements. Now, you know, it was unfortunate he got knocked out by Adriano Moraes, but I do believe even to this day, you know, DJ is, for me, is the GOAT. You know, there's I think GSP for me is another GOAT. But there's you know, only 2 or 3 that I would say that are up there that I have, you know, that kind of massive respect in terms of their skill set as a martial artist. Forget about their accomplishments for a second. But of course, when you look at all their accomplishments and you actually look at their skill set, you actually look at technically, are they, you know, like GSP, technically he's a world-class striker. Technically he's a world-class wrestler. Technically he's a world-class jiu-jitsu athlete. Like, you can see that they achieved levels of technical proficiency that you just don't see every day. So that's why I say, for me, DJ and GSP for me are the GOATs.
Yeah, and it's I think when we see Demetrius Johnson getting knocked out by Adriano, it just values your brand even more. Because I was looking at Adriano. Someone asked me on Instagram, who are your top 5 martial artists of all time? I was like, look, that's an impossible list to make. And then I'm putting Brazilian active champions, right? So, and then I was like, how do you do a list where you don't include Adriano Moraes that defended his belt or he won championship fights 8 times and won, or Bibiano Fernandes that won 11 championship fights and won? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you have the new generation coming in, like John Lineker, right? Like that fight against Bibiano was freaking crazy. And I had Bibiano on the phone a couple of days after. I was like, why you didn't put this guy down? He's like, no, man, I wanted to trade punches with him. I was like, shit. It's like, why would you do that? It's like, his boxing is not better than my boxing. I was like, okay, I can see that, but you got caught. He's like, yeah, it happens. It's like, all right, move on. By the way, are we going to see a rematch of that? Actually, both. Are we going to see a rematch of Adriano and DJ and Bibiano and Lineker?
I think you will see it one day. I don't know if it's going to be immediate, just because of, you know, Adriano knocked out DJ pretty badly and was dominating the fight. So I think DJ's got to get a couple wins under his belt and then come back and bite. You know, again, like I said, DJ for me is the GOAT. So I do think he will end up challenging for the title again. For Bibiano, same thing. I think, you know, it was a story. Bibiano's 42 years old. He's had an incredible career. John Lineker's 31. So, you know, this is a young man's sport. We all know this. At the end of the day, if you're going to fight someone, you know, 10, 11 years difference in the age, it is tough because they're going to always have that much more cardio than you, that much more speed, that much everything, despite you being experienced. So I think, you know, I need to talk to Bibiano. I told him to take a rest for a while after he lost. And I said, look, you know, just rest up because it was a pretty bad knockout. And I don't want you to have any long-term repercussions. Yes. And he's, you know, and I said, look, don't spar for 90 days and make sure, you know, you have to be that. At the end of the day, Bibi, you've had an incredible career. I mean, think about this little boy from Manaus who was so poor. He slept in the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, cleaning the floor, like all these incredible stories you hear, right?
Yes,
like Jose Aldo or any of these guys.
Yeah.
Bibiano had that life story, and his whole life is martial arts and changed his life, and he's a multi-millionaire today. He doesn't need this anymore. He has a good life, but he does it because he loves it. But at the same time, at 42, I don't know how many more fights I want to see him at the highest levels in the world because
let's bring him to the grappling.
Yes, his grappling's obviously still. I think he's a 4- or 5-time jiu-jitsu world champion. But
yes.
obviously his jiu-jitsu is insane. When you look at when you look at him on the ground,
It's crazy, right?
it's amazing.
Rafael, do you understand the difference between Chatri and the others?
It's amazing.
That?
Yeah, I was just thinking here. I didn't want to interrupt. People tell me, say, you got to stop interrupting your guests. But sometimes I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
you should, man. You do this all the time. What a prick.
But he's saying, hey, I believe Demetrius Johnson is the GOAT, but he should get a couple of wins before he challenges Adriano again. That tells it all. Right? That tells it all, because in any other place, it's like, all right, we're gonna keep doing the rematch until he wins.
You see the beauty of this. It's truth cannot hide. You cannot hide truth. You may lie, people will know you're lying.
Yep.
That's the reality. It's like, you know, a lie may run a little faster ahead of the truth, but the truth will always get there. You know, I was like you guys know, I was in Brazil this week. I was doing some stuff and fixing some things, and I had the pleasure to have dinner with Hugo Duarte. Hugo Duarte was the guy who fought me. He fought Rickson. Remember the match on the beach?
Yep.
You know, and he brought me a gift. He brought me this.
Wow.
You see, it's a Greek statue that he bought in Greece of King Leonidas.
Okay, yeah, we can see it. Right, we can see it.
And he brought over and he said to me, Renzo, you know, I had this in my house and I love this statue, but I said, this is Renzo. I have to give it to him.
Wow.
So he brought and gave it to me while we were having lunch. So now I'm putting this gift what it deserves to be. I'm putting this gift right here.
Yeah, look at that.
That's all
look at
my
that.
prize.
That is amazing.
Look at this. My Abu Dhabi competition, my national champion.
Beautiful,
oh,
my goodness.
Wow, yeah.
Next to my one championship.
That is amazing.
Right here, look. Next to a samurai hat.
Dude, what a life.
Yeah.
What a life man. That's what I'm telling you, like, I'm telling you before I'm gonna do the Renzo Gracie movie. You know, this guy comes he comes to America from Brazil. First of all, he obviously had a legendary. He was already a crazy fighter when he was a kid in Brazil. But going to America, getting the partner, I forget what his partner's name was, Craig something, who stole all his money, and then he had a methadone clinic academy, like, and just the craziest story. To have the largest jiu-jitsu academy now in all of America, like, just the crazy stuff. And then, like, he's again like. He's like, if you think James Bond's life is interesting, you gotta hang out with Renzo for a little bit. Then you really know who life is, you know?
Was a lot of funny stories. One of them on the methadone clinic was that this guy Richie comes to train, and I can't keep people's name. I have too many students on my head. So the guy goes, "Oh, Renzo, I have some guys here from Rickson's Academy." I say, "Tell them don't need to pay. They're our guests. Tell them to be home." So the guys are there already for a week. And every day I come in, I pat the guys in the head like I do with everybody. I say hi and I keep walking and showing them jiu-jitsu. And I remember every time I talk to the guy like this, the guy acts a little stiff. He was a British guy. And the guy, after like a 1 week, the guy comes to me and says, "Renzo, do you know who this is?" I say, "Of course I know. It's Rickson's student." You know, and then he goes, "No, Renzo, this is Guy Ritchie's." I say, "Who?" "Guy Ritchie." He goes, "Madonna's husband." I understood, my daughter's husband. So I say, "How the hell? You're my age. How do you allow an old man like this to date your daughter?" If it was my daughter, I'd beat the shit out of him. The guy knows Madonna, the singer, Madonna. Today, he's one of our best black belts. And I remember I asked him, "Guy, how was to go to the methadone clinic?" He goes, "Renzo, that was the craziest experience. A lot of times I think I don't believe I'm here." You know?
But you know, only the guys like I said that many times too, and it like you only understand what is to be at Renzo Gracie Academy if you are there or if you were there at some point. because the energy on that place, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like I never felt that in anywhere. And I was just before Glover Teixeira flew to Abu Dhabi to fight for the UFC belt. I was at his academy, little academy on a strip mall in Danbury, 40 minutes from my house. And there was Alex Poatan, which is a big prospect in the UFC now. And Glover was there. He was doing his last sparring before the championship fight. And I left there feeling good. I was like, I only felt something like that at Renzo's academy, but it's a different feeling because there I was just watching the guys. I was like, shit, look at the energy of this place because the guy's getting ready for his title fight, right? But at Renzo, you have that, I don't want to say vibe because it's so cliche and it's so little because everything's like, oh, good vibes. It's not that. It's something like if you were never there, like training on them on those mats or sitting there and just looking around, you're never gonna understand what I'm saying. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You feel like you're in a temple of jiu-jitsu.
You know what I love about the Renzo Gracie Academy? I was there for 3 years, when I was living in New York, at the Blue Basement. You know, you have to think about, and it actually reminds me, I had dinner with John Danaher 3 years ago in Tokyo. He had Gary Tonin fighting at the time, and John was saying, you know, only Master Renzo would allow John to grow and flourish with his leg lock games and his back control system. When you remember, there's a time when Brazilians were all like, "Hey, leg locks, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Heel hooks, that's for wimps, right? You're only going to pass a guy's guard, mount, side control mount, and finish him with rear naked choke." And so, you know, Brazilians really, but Renzo was, again, John will say this. He's like, he obviously, you know, and that's why John is so, he's obviously one of the greatest jiu-jitsu masters today, John, but he still calls Renzo Master Renzo because, you know, because of Renzo's like open mind, you know. And I used to take John's classes too, you know, his no-gi classes. I think it was at 12:45 or something like that. Or maybe it was in the Blue Basement.
It was supposed to be 12. He was always late.
But right. The point is that's why when Renzo says there's more philosophy, you know, on jiu-jitsu mats than there is, you know, in Ivy Leagues, it's the way he runs his school. So when you say the energy, you're absolutely right. There's killers and monsters. I remember every time I go to class, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to get my ass kicked. But I always loved the openness of the professors' learning environment. It's just a beautiful learning environment, right? There isn't like bullying. There's no hostility. Everyone's trying their best. You can see that everyone wants to, you know, you want to represent Renzo Gracie well, you know, the team. But at the same time, you're right. It's like, that is Muay Thai program. And I come from Muay Thai background. So I go watch the Muay Thai program. I'm thinking, hey, man, it's just going to be this watered down shit, you know? I go there. I'm like, oh, my God.
It's amazing.
Muay Thai teachers are legit. And I'm like, how the hell did Renzo do this? Like, the program was legit. I started the students. You know, I was like, wow, these are really good. Like, so, you know, it's this whole martial arts mindset openness. But if you think about it's the root is always the founder. At the end of the day, any business or any team or organization, it comes down to the leader, how the leader is and how the academy will be, right? Or anything, right? So I agree with you.
That is a very funny situation, because I remember when John left with Gordon and the guys to go to Puerto Rico and then after to Texas, and people were like, oh, are you hungry? Are you mad? I say, one of my favorite writers when I was growing up was Khalil Gibran. And Khalil Gibran had a poem about our sons are not our sons, because they're going to live in a time that we won't be able to be there, that we won't live. Our sons are like arrows that we put in a bow and we shoot towards the horizon, and we do hope they land on the target. So the reality is, like, people come to me and say, are you mad that I said, no, they need to look. They need to live their lives. They need to learn. They need to go on themselves and become great. And when they have a problem, they always have a roof here. That's a roof and a house and food. You know, they always can come back. It's like, I know right now, I was just in my mom's house And she told me, you can come back anytime you feel like.
So
you can send anybody here that you feel like.
I have another story, another Renzo Gracie story is, at the time when I went back, when I decided to move to Asia, his number one manager of the Renzo Gracie Academy, a guy named Rafael, it was Rafael Lima, a wonderful guy.
Gordo's brother, Gordo's younger brother.
Yes, and he was running the program and everything, and he was one of the most respected guys there, and running the business side of things, etc. And Gorginho, I happened to take private lessons from Gorginho, and when Gorginho knew I was flying back, I invited him to come open Evolve with me, which is still academies here. And I remember having to make that call to Renzo, and I thought he's going to get angry at me because I'm taking his top guy. Top guy. Imagine it's not just some black belt; it's like this top guy. And I'm like, fuck, man, I feel really bad. I feel selfish. And I'm like, but Gorginho really wants, he really wants this opportunity because he's gonna make a lot of money. And Gorginho and I were really both scared. Like, fuck. We call Renzo separately. Renzo's like, man, I will come to your grand opening. I will fly to Singapore. I'll support you guys. I'm there for you. And remember, I'm a blue belt at the time. So I'm thinking, my God, this, and guess what? Renzo, true to his word, 6 months later, flew out for the grand opening. It was a small little academy. I think it was like 3,000 square feet, but he came.
It was a small place.
Yeah.
It was a small place.
And my Muay Thai master also came. You remember, right? Renzo, that's the first you guys met.
Yes.
And I'm like thinking to myself, my goodness, like I have two martial arts legends here just coming out of the goodness of their heart. And it's incredible. He's crazy. And today Evolve is the largest academy in Asia by far, okay? And it's Renzo Gracie's, roots. It's Renzo Gracie, Team Renzo Gracie.
Let me be honest. Was I wrong to let that happen?
That's it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Renzo sees farther and deeper and bigger. You see, I think an average person would be like, oh man, I hate Gorginho now. You betrayed me, or Chatri, you betrayed me, man. You came to my academy for 3 years and then you took my best guy. I was expecting that, genuinely. But I was like, I will beg my way to Renzo and I'll just, like that. But, and now jiu-jitsu is massive out here in Asia.
Yes.
And it's Renzo's great name on it. And everyone knows one was effectively the real fathers of one is Master Sityodtong Sananan, my Muay Thai teacher, and Renzo Gracie. I tell this story all the time of the very first event and how they both inspired me to go chase my greatness and try to create the world's largest martial arts organization that honored martial arts in the right way. I'm telling you, man, without Renzo, without Sityodtong, like none of this would happen. Like it's just like, and so you asked me earlier, what's the backstory of me starting one? This is the backstory. This is literally it.
That's amazing.
It's like Renzo's generosity, his kindness, his ability to see. So that's literally. I mean, imagine you go to any school owner, okay, and you say, who's your top black belt or top world champion?
I'm taking that
your
guy.
Blue belt team stole them, took it away to another halfway around the world. I'm telling you, 99% of gym owners or academy owners would be like, what a betrayal.
Yeah.
But instead, Renzo encouraged and inspired us, and we carry his flag. I carry his flag every day. Everywhere I meet, I'm like, I'm proud to be Renzo Gracie's student. It's like,
and it could go wrong both ways, right?
To be next to you guys and to see you guys build what you did, the work that you guys put. Remember the first gym when I went in there was a small gym, and I said, start looking for a bigger place.
That's what he said.
You're gonna have a waiting list. After 2 months, you're gonna have a waiting list. Hence, you can't be here. There's no jiu-jitsu in Singapore. We're beginning. I say 2 months, you're gonna start having to put people in a waiting list.
And this was
actually it was 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks. He called me. I already have people in the waiting list. I said, I told you.
Oh wow.
Because I could see the beautiful work that they were doing there.
And this is 2008. So that was 14 years ago. Crazy.
14 years ago. Yeah.
14 years ago.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And then 4 years later, you began the one, and then you went. Unbelievable.
And that story could have gone wrong both ways, right? The story could have gone wrong both ways. Like Renzo gets upset, then you get upset, and everything changes.
Yeah, brother. How could I ever be upset with a soul trying to go after his own fate?
Yeah. I know, but what I'm saying is like it's not about you. It's not about you. It's like, what if he comes to New York City and he ends up at a different academy? And he finds his top guy and he has this dream and it's like, hey, I want to take this guy, and then there's no maybe there was one, but it's not. We won't be here today. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, it's
it is crazy. But I'll tell you this, man. Like you know, Renzo and I, we have a really rare connection that just happened like this, because we are truly brothers from another mother. And I know I say this about Renzo a lot, but it's true. Like, we don't see each other, but we talk on WhatsApp all the time. The minute we see each other, it's like as if we saw each other yesterday. Like, it's a crazy.
Yes, yeah. He's terrible with WhatsApp, by the way.
And we have the same way of how we want to live our lives, how we make an impact on people. We have the same kind of mindset of you know, I don't want to brag, but there's a purity to our hearts that a lot of people don't necessarily have. You grow older and become more skeptical, or more hateful, or more vengeful, or more angry. Renzo and
in reality, people grow more selfish.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Yes.
That's different from us. It's like the craziest about us is we wanna. I have a quote that I said, I feel sorry for those souls who live life without trying to embrace eternity. Chatri, we are here to live forever. And if we didn't do this, we fail. That's the reality.
Yep.
You know, that's the pure reality.
And you know, this is another thing that I always tell people now. And I was just literally yesterday speaking at a conference. And I said, at the end of the day, look, we're all going to leave this beautiful world. But the only thing that matters is the love we shared with our loved ones and our friends, true love, right? The real love, and the impact we make on others. And if that is the definition, because you can't take your car with you, your money, or any of this stuff.
Everything else the joke. Everything else the joke.
Yes.
The memories that we leave.
Yes.
We will never die. Like I was this week in Brazil, they were talking about a guy who died 25 years ago. And the funny thing, the guy was he parked the cars. And he looked at me, you know, remember this guy? Because I was a kid there. And I say, yes, how could I forget him? He goes, it's funny, but we always talk about him here. And I said to them, that means that he didn't die. As long as he's remembered, he's still alive. You know, that's the secret. That's the secret of life. If you live believing that and acting for that, believe it, life is 10 times better. Look what I have. Look what I did. The memories that I have, the people that I met. It's insane. It's insane. The past 8 months, maybe 5, 6 presidents. You know, and I met them like I will hug them like I hug the homeless who begs money across the street from my academy. There's no difference. I swear, there's no difference. I give them the same love. You know.
Yeah. And if you know Renzo, you know it's true. So, look, before we finish, just touching a little more on that, on the grappling project, right? Like let's call it that. You have already some of the biggest names, and one thing that shows that you are a much better person than I am is that I would have done Andre Galvão and Gordon Ryan like a month ago before ADCC. What are we waiting for that?
Right. So we signed Gordon. I think it was around 3 years ago, and they got the stomach issues, which was very serious, and he didn't get healed until now. Now, of course, Andre, when I signed Andre as well, you know, he was open to. I mean, he wanted to fight Gordon both in submission grappling and MMA. But when ADCC announced it, they announced it, I think, 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
Of course, I have contractual rights for Andre, but I thought about him like, you know what? I don't want to cause any waves. I want to be a positive contribution to the jiu-jitsu community, and I don't want to interrupt it. You know, of course, I pay more. The money's far better than any jiu-jitsu tournament. You saw Mikey Musumeci; he made, you know, $50,000 bonus. Today, jiu-jitsu, as you know, the most they make is like $5,000.
Yeah, we don't have that money, not even close.
Yeah. So, you know, Danielle Kelly, I think she made like, I mean, all of our athletes get paid the highest in the world. You can't compare it. It doesn't matter any tournament, anything we pay that high. Now, of course, I could have done it, but I just felt it was wrong because ADCC's bank on the super fight and they sold tickets and all that stuff. So I thought, look, one has many athletes, many stories, many matches. I don't need to go out and ruin ADCC this year. I'll do it after. So this is what I've told Gordon and Andre. We'll do it after ADCC. No big deal. Um, that's how I thought of it. Again, I try my best. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I try my best to be thoughtful of others. I try.
Yes, yes, and that's what we always thought. We were like, and we talked about it. Of course, as soon as you sign up, Andre, I was like, oh, it's gonna happen. And then we were discussing, and I was like, look, he's not gonna do this before. And I'm not even know if it's the case, but I say they must have like a gentleman's agreement or something like that. Say, hey, please wait, you know, and no, they're gonna actually, wait. You can have the rematch. It's gonna be just as big, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no,
it's gonna be bigger.
He cracked the smile, so that's the plan.
No, I didn't call anybody from ADCC. Actually, Mo Jassim just reached out to me yesterday. It was the first time he reached out to me, and he said, you know, he wants to invite me to ADCC this year, you know, as his guest. I just did it out of thoughtful consideration. I'm not here to create waves. I'm here to help.
Yes.
The jiu-jitsu community, and I truly believe.
Are you coming to ADCC?
Yeah, I'm coming because Mo invited me.
Now we're talking.
After this.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah.
Good. So. I'm getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Can you believe?
No, you're gonna have to get me a ticket there. I'll fly there too. I want to go. Renzo, I'll definitely want to go.
Man, that's Renzo back then, man. I remember Renzo was a ball of fire. His jiu-jitsu was so fun because, you know, I really miss those days because the attacking style that you brought to the game and Marcelo and all. I just remember like you guys were like. You know, you see a lot of stalling nowadays. You know, it's a game. Back then, it was like you guys. It was like a blood sport. They invited the best grapplers, 8 or 16 best grapplers in the world, and they say go at it, right? It's just like how
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Look, that's what got Buchecha into MMA. I had Buchecha on a podcast, and he said, "Look, I'm training. I want to go because I say no, you know." I go to like a world championship, like a IBJJF and stuff like that. It's like people they don't let me fight. They don't let me fight. They hold and they stall and this and that. Next day, you see on the guy's Instagram a picture where the picture shows he was in a better position than Buchecha, and he's like, "Oh, samurai spirit." And Buchecha goes like, "Hey, but you lost the fight," and he blocks him. I was thinking like all those Instagram warriors, and he's like, I'm so tired of this. You know, I'm so tired.
Welcome to the age of internet.
Yeah, exactly. I had a guy said like he was at his academy, and this guy walks in, very famous guy. He wouldn't tell me who was it because we were live on the podcast, and he's like, this very famous guy walks in with a tripod. Like some lights and a bottle, like a squeeze bottle, right? And he's just looking, and the guy walks in right on the corner, and he sits down on his knees. He get the bottle, he spray his face and his hair. Now he looks all sweaty and wet, and he puts the tripod, turn the lights on, take a few pictures. Next day, he sees the guy's post on Instagram. He's like this, all sweaty, like he just finished like a hard session training, and he's like hashtag samurai spirit. He was like, he called the guy, say, "Hey, never do this in my academy again, please." It's like, what the hell? What is going on? Right? It's amazing. It's a different era. It's a different era.
Chatri, I love the new clothes collection, huh?
Yeah, man. I just see this is the typical Renzo. He's so thoughtful. He knows he's going to be on the podcast with me.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a one champion shirt. And I see, that's the first thing I see. I said, man, I was going to say something. But I was like, man, that's Renzo.
No,
man.
I'm going to say something too. Because just because you said that, I ordered one, but it's arriving tomorrow. I was like, damn, I can't believe it.
Nice, Rafael. I love it. They gave me a box now in Singapore. I love it, every single one of them. All the shirts, I brought them to Brazil with me. I was wearing them down there. Everybody talking about one when they saw the shirts, you know.
Nice.
Beautiful work, Chatri.
Look,
cool. I loved your office and the people working there. Unbelievable.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Look, and in any way I can help spread the word, the event, and the fights, and anything I can do, please use the platform. And I thank you for all the martial arts you provide us.
Yeah, no,
We'll
thank
reach
you
you
so
right
much
away.
for having me, man. And like I said, it's an honor for me. I just feel so blessed every day that my life is martial arts, and I get to represent martial arts. I get to represent the whole global community. It doesn't matter what martial art you do. At the end of the day, I want to, showcase real martial arts, the very best warrior spirits in the world, but and at the highest levels. But at the same time, I just don't believe in that you have to be a thug. You have to be, a bad human being. I think, I want to portray the truth, which is martial arts changes people's lives and, creates heroes. I mean, look at who Renzo was as a kid. He was a rabble rouser, right? Getting into fights all the time and this, that, the other. And look what he's evolved into, like many years later, like martial arts
Still
as his
getting into
foundation.
fights all the time.
Right?
I mean, I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, but my point is like, and look, his teacher in school in Brazil said he would amount to nothing.
Yeah.
And look at his life today. He's a global icon. Like it's like
I just sent her the new book. I signed it and I sent
You're
her
the
new
best.
book. I don't know her. I don't know how she react yet, but she just got the new book. I'll find out this week.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So look, Mr. Chatri, thank you so much for everything you do for martial arts. Thank you for one. And we watching. We will be watching even more. And
well, I really think July is our first show for Amazon. It's going to blow up the U.S. And thereafter, every month, the U.S. will have primetime shows, 10 p.m. sharp. Boom.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. And
we'll
do our share to promote.
And when is the Apprentice coming to United States? When are they start showing here?
Later this year as well.
Oh.
So yeah, it's all on Amazon Prime.
Perfect.
Because I think it was on Netflix Brazil, right? Yeah, it was on Netflix Brazil. Yeah, I saw something on Netflix.
Well, you're not in Brazil anymore, but yeah, Netflix Brazil. So it's right now. It's in Netflix in 154 countries, not in the US, not in the UK.
Okay, I had it here to talk about it. How was it? Just a 2-minute thing on that. How was the show? I saw GSP and Demetrius Johnson and Renzo, of course.
Well, you know what? Again, this is what I'm saying. Like I owe so much to Renzo. So I give him a call. Okay, we're in the middle of the pandemic. The vaccine hasn't come out yet, and the Singapore government gives us the green light to shoot The Apprentice. Literally, the whole streets are dead. Everything's dead. Everyone's locked up in a bubble. Okay. I call Renzo. I'm like, hey, man, like we're gonna shoot. Do you mind flying here to Singapore? And like literally just drop his bags and came. Same thing with George. George is a buddy too. The amount of support and love I got from the martial arts community was incredible. And but what I didn't tell Renzo and George was, they had to jump off a 110-foot bridge and then had to climb back up, rappelling up. So I didn't tell them that.
I wanna kill Chatri. I believe me. Look and say, how do we get on this problem?
Did you do it?
Yes, he did it. They both did it.
Holy shit. You guys have to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
They both did it. But you see, like I was having lunch with them the day before. And so George's like, hey, Chatri, what's going to happen tomorrow? And I remember from George and I talked before that he has a fear of heights. So it's like, fuck, I don't want to tell him he's going to jump off a bridge, So then I'm like, oh, I better not tell him. I know Renzo's crazy enough to jump off a bridge, so I knew that. But I was like, climbing back up the bridge on a rope, I was like, dude, they're going to die. It's exhausting.
Insane. When we finished, me and George fell, we couldn't breathe. We had to lay down for half an hour.
Oh my God, I can't wait to watch that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Only friends can do that to friends without telling them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have to remember, George and Renzo,
and show it to the world. Yes.
Oh,
So they flew into the country in the middle of the pandemic. There was no vaccine worldwide. The whole country was on lockdown. They were locked in their hotel. Like, it was just a horrible situation, but they all did it. It was incredible. Like I said, I'm just grateful.
I had a security at my door. I had a security sitting down at my door to make sure that I wouldn't leave the room. Right. But then I looked the weather. The weather was so nice. I put my shorts. I went to the pool. By chance, I believe the security went to take a pee. He went to the bathroom quick, and that was exactly the moment that I left. I jump in the elevator. I go to the pool. I take my shirt off. I'm gonna dive. Well, Chatri's employee, hands on no. I said, what? If you dive in the pool, they're gonna have to empty and clean the whole pool. I said, what? You gotta go back to your room. And I had to go back to my room. Yeah. So that was the best pool dive that I never did. Great moments, great stories. Believe me.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, this is just the beginning. It's beginning. We're gonna do much more for sure.
So that's on Netflix right now in Brazil. I'm saying this because we're gonna put subtitles in Portuguese.
In Brazil,
so people...
it's on Netflix. And actually, I was on a flight on Singapore Airlines a few weeks ago, and I didn't even know this. But actually, it's also on Singapore Airlines.
Nice.
Tom the Blast was watching. I passed by him. I say, "You watching this and you don't tell me?" You know, he was watching the whole show. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome!
Unbelievable.
That's awesome. So, guys,
and you know what I'm afraid? I'm extremely afraid because then I realized what The Apprentice was. And one of the last guys who did it in America ended up as a president. I'm afraid where we end up,
Oh, Mr. President, let's go.
Well, I tell you, if Renzo ran for president, he would win today. If he ran for president of Brazil, he would do it. Actually, even the States, he would do it.
You're the best shot.
I got my vote for sure.
Brother. Great to be here with you guys.
Enzo, man, I love you. You know how much I love you, brother.
I'm a call away. Just call it. Anytime, the day or the night.
Likewise.
Give my nephew, little Renzo, a big hug.
Oh, yeah. So one thing, I should tell you, actually, people don't know. My son, I named him Renzo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That
so
is
the greatest honor ever. The greatest honor.
Yeah. I have an 8-month-old son. And think about different names, and I said, you know what? It's got to be Renzo. So,
wow.
But he got COVID. So Renzo
I got a call.
1X.
I got a call 3 minutes after he was born.
Right after.
I was in bed. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I grab it. I look. It's the little guy.
Wow.
Star sitting right there. He was just born. He goes, Renzo, it's named after you.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
The best shot.
Because Renzo came for 1X, and I was going to introduce them, right? But the problem is, my Renzo, the little Renzo, got COVID, so he was like locked up. Singapore rules, so he was locked up.
What Shadi didn't know, I should have sneaked it in to give him a kiss anyway. I don't get COVID. Is afraid of me. That's the difference. That's the big difference.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Look, Renzo, I love you always.
Mr. Rafael, I love you too,
Mr. Chatri, thank you so much for this. It was a great honor. Probably one of the better episodes I ever did it. And I thank you for that. You can count me in with anything as far as one goes. I'm
Thank
here.
You, Rafael. I appreciate that.
We're
man.
here.
Really
Let's make this like flourish in America and Brazil.
Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Take care. See you guys.